A lot of people on social media are talking about Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. So let's go to EFF.org and read what the Communications Decency Act Section 230 is all about. Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. 47 United States Code, subsection 230, a provision of the Communications Decency Act. Tucked inside Communications Decency Act of 1996 is one of the most valuable tools for protecting freedom of expression and innovation on the Internet, Section 230. This comes somewhat as a surprise, since the original purpose of the legislation was to restrict free speech on the Internet. The Internet community as a whole objected strongly to the Communications Decency Act, and with EFF's help, the anti-free speech provisions were struck down by the Supreme Court. But thankfully, CDA 230 remains, and in the years since has far outshone the rest of the law. Section 230 says that, quote, no provider or user of an interactive computer service shall be treated as the publisher or speaker of any information provided by another information content provider, end quote. 47 U.S. Code, Section 230. In other words, online intermediaries that host or republish speech are protected against a range of laws that might otherwise be used to hold them legally responsible for what others say and do. The protected intermediaries include not only regular Internet service providers, or ISPs, but also a range of interactive computer service providers, including basically any online service that publishes third-party content, which would be YouTube. Though there are important exceptions for certain criminal and intellectual property-based claims, CDA 230 creates a broad protection that has allowed innovation and free speech online to flourish. This legal and policy framework has allowed for YouTube and Vimeo users to upload their own videos, Amazon and Yelp to offer countless user reviews, Craigslist to host classified ads, and Facebook and Twitter to offer social networking to hundreds of millions of Internet users. Given the sheer size of user-generated websites, for example, Facebook alone has more than 1 billion users, and YouTube users upload 100 hours of videos every minute, it would be infeasible for online intermediaries to prevent objectionable content from cropping up on their site. Rather than face potential liability for their users' actions, most would likely not host any user content at all, or would need to protect themselves by being actively engaged in censoring what we say, what we see, and what we do online. In short, CDA 230 is perhaps the most influential law to protect the kind of innovation that has allowed the Internet to thrive since 1996. CDA 230 also offers its legal shield to bloggers, who act as intermediaries by hosting comments on their blogs. Under the law, bloggers are not liable for comments left by readers, the work of guest bloggers, tips sent via email, or information received through RSS feeds. This legal protection can still hold even if a blogger is aware of the objectionable content or makes editorial judgments. The legal protections provided by CDA 230 are unique to U.S. law. European nations, Canada, Japan, and the vast majority of other countries do not have similar statutes on the books. While these countries have high levels of Internet access, most prominent online services are based in the United States. This is in part because CDA 230 makes the U.S. a safe haven for websites that want to provide a platform for controversial or political speech and a legal environment favorable to free expression. EFF works to ensure strong legal protections for Internet intermediaries and endeavors to fight threats that would weaken such protections for intermediaries and users. We realize that a combination of technology policy and law protecting intermediaries ultimately helps uphold freedom of speech online. Note: This summary of CDA 230 isn't a substitute for, nor does it constitute legal advice. Only an attorney who knows the details of your particular situation can provide the kind of advice you need if you're being threatened with a lawsuit. The goal of these pages is to give you a broad roadmap to the legal issues surrounding the interactive computer services covered by CDA 230. Let's read the Wikipedia article on this. And I have to caution you, if you go to this page on Wikipedia, there's a lot of misspellings and a lot of bad grammar used throughout this whole article that they haven't. Unbelievable that they don't have a grammar checker. Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act of 1996, a common name for Title V of the Telecommunications Act of 1996, is a landmark piece of Internet legislation in the United States, codified as 47 U.S. Code, subsection 230. Section 230C1 provides the immunity from liability for providers and users of an interactive computer service who publish information provided by third-party users. No provider or user of an interactive computer service shall be treated as the publisher or speaker of any information provided by another information content provider. In analyzing the availability of the immunity offered by this provision, courts generally apply a three-pronged test. A defendant must satisfy each of the three prongs to gain the benefit of the immunity. And the defendant here in this case would be Google or YouTube. Number one, the defendant must be a provider or user of an interactive computer service. Number two, the cause of action asserted by the plaintiff must treat the defendant as the publisher or speaker of the harmful information at issue. Number three, the information must be provided by another information content provider, i.e., the defendant must not be the information content provider of the harmful information at issue. Now, a lot of people are put off by all this legal mumbo-jumbo, and I'm not a lawyer, but I know the law. I can't advise you because I'm not a lawyer, but I can tell you what this means in layman's terms. If you are a publisher, like a newspaper, New York Times, Washington Post, anything that goes out in print, if you tell a lie about someone, knowingly and willingly, tell a lie like all the papers are doing to Donald Trump, you are liable for the content of your newspaper, and you can be dragged into court and have your ass sued off. And I'm surprised why Donald Trump isn't suing half these people, because they are publishers. Also in the realm of publishers are news stations, CNN, ABC, CBS, MSNBC, all of them. They are publishers because they decide what to broadcast. And if they willingly and just off the top of their head tell lies, and they know that they're lies, I mean, it's obvious that they're lies. They've been lies for 2.5 years about this Russia deal. They are liable. They are liable because they're publishers. Now, if I have a website and I have a comment section, I am the host, but I'm not a publisher. I am the town square. I provide the digital ground, so to speak, for people to come and sort out their differences and present ideas and present arguments and counter-arguments. And as long as I don't interfere with that process, I am not liable for what somebody walking in off the street and into the town square says. But once I prohibit someone from speaking their mind or expressing their idea, I become the narrator or the publisher or the editor of the public forum. And if I turn around and do the opposite and promote someone over another based on my own political opinion and my own political standing, or who I support for president or vice president or door catcher or whatever, I am no longer the town square. I am a publisher. I am a narrator. I am an editor. And I am responsible then for that content that gets presented in that quote-unquote town square. Now, other than obviously illegal content like child pornography and violence and things like that, I mean, you're walking, once you cross that line out of something that's patently illegal to something like the New Zealand mosque video that got instantly flagged when I tried to upload it a couple of months ago, and my whole channel was taken down because of it. I have a video of it. I put it in the description. You can watch it happen on screen, live. They then became the publisher, and they are responsible not only for my content, but for everyone's content. And they can be sued by everyone they did this to. It's not on an individual basis. You're either a publisher or you're not. You're either a publisher or you're a provider of a town square. If you're a provider of the town square and everybody has an equal say, then the law holds you immune for what the people in that town square say. If you interfere, promote, demote, or censor anything that happens in that formal town square, then you are a publisher and an editor, and you are liable for everything on your platform. You're either a publisher or you're not. It's simple as that. And they are treading on they're treading, they haven't tread the line. They just stepped off into the swamp over the red line. And they will pay the price. They will pay the price. They will be broken up and deemed to be public utilities. And the government, who I wouldn't trust as far as I could spit up wind in the Saigon monsoon, is going to have their hand in social media, which they started social media. Who do you think started Facebook? It was a DARPA project called LifeLog. It was an attempt to digitally collect information that people would voluntarily provide because of their vanity. And what scared the piss out of me years ago is when I saw a cell phone with the physical button on the keypad. And I didn't know what I know now back then. But I'm saying, who the hell is Facebook that they can put a physical button on a phone? Which means it connects to something that's built into the operating system. If you deleted the app, you still don't delete the spyware. You still don't delete the thing that's keeping track of where you are and what you say. That backfired on them. Because after the 2016 election, they found out that we are more of a force to be reckoned with than they realized. And they started with the adpocalypse. Advertisers don't want to advertise on my channel, which was getting 800 new subscribers a day until it reached 36,000 subscribers, and they took me off. And they did that 3 times. This is my 4th channel, and I'm on BitChute. BitChute does not do that. BitChute is the town square. Unfortunately, BitChute has just a fraction of the traffic that YouTube has. BitChute does not control the world's largest search engine. And I used to have a program called Rank Enhancer, and it meddled with the Alexa ratings. And the Alexa ratings is used by YouTube to put people up in the rankings for their websites and their content. But now they have the algorithms to actually, if you turn the captions on while I'm speaking, occasionally you will see the word that I speak appear on the screen before I speak it. It's not translated on the fly, as most people think. There's an audio file that's converted over to a text file that's connected to this video. And if you turn closed captions on, you will see that the word, not often, but often enough, so that you know. How does it know if it's doing it on the fly, how does it know what I'm going to say 2 seconds before I say it? Because it's text to speech, and then this file is examined for this information that they're looking for. I don't know what the hell it is they're looking for. And if they determine that the content of this speech does not fit their political agenda, they will demonetize the video, they will shadow ban the video, and they will eventually take the channel down if it gets too many people using it. Now, on the prior channel, they told me I had 35,000 subscribers. And an insider sent me a screenshot of their screen that said I had 185,000 subscribers or something like that. It's in the video that's linked in the description. So not only are they shadow banning us, not only are they censoring our speech, not only are they acting as publishers and not the town square, but they're cheating the people, everybody. They're doing it to everybody, not only the conservatives. They're doing it to everybody. They'll tell you you have 35,000 subscribers. Really, you have 100,000. They'll pay you your ad revenue for the ads that they put on the 35,000 subscribers they'll tell you they have. But meanwhile, they're charging the companies. They're showing, this guy got 100,000. Add it all up. And they're fudging the numbers that way. So they are stealing. That's RICO Act. That's conspiracy to commit theft on a multi-billion-dollar scale. And this is the government. They are entangled with the government. Their defense is, well, we can't violate your First Amendment rights. We're a private company. No, you are a government-entangled entity with government contracts that you will do what the government tells you to do, or otherwise you will lose those lucrative satellite contracts and all of that other shit that you do for the government. And they can't get around that because that's provable fact. There is absolutely no way that you are going to even pay the electric bill for a server farm that's taking in on the internet 100 hours of video a minute. Imagine the disk space that takes. Imagine the air conditioning that it takes to cool off all those disk drives. Imagine the power consumption. Imagine the bandwidth that it takes, not only to have 100 videos a minute being uploaded, but billions of videos being watched at the same time. And excuse me there, my dog came running in from the outside. So you have a untenable business model where you're paying for a huge server farm. I can imagine what this thing looks like. With 15 and 30-second click ads, and half of the content that is on your servers is on there for free because it's not monetized for one reason or the other. It's either not monetized because the person doesn't want to go through all of that hassle of opening up an AdSense account. And by the way, they owe me $4,700, and I'm coming after you for that, and then triple damages too. So you just watch what happens. They're demonetized all the conservative channels except for a few. A few token channels are monetized. And one of my favorites is Black Conservative Patriot. He's fantastic. He's monetized. I don't know how many subscribers he has. For some reason, he hit it off the thing. But it's an insult. It's an insult to people's intelligence that they think that we don't know what they're doing. You see, I'm a private person. I use the town square to speak my piece. And whether my piece is true or false is not determined by them because they're not the publisher, or shouldn't be determined by them because they shouldn't be the publisher, but they are. If I was full of shit, nobody would listen to me. I would be talking to the wall. And that should be up to you to decide, not them. They are attempting to interfere with the 2020 election. They didn't do it in 2016. It was the other way around. We are the ones who got Donald Trump elected. And you can't put the genie back in the bottle. You can have 25, 26, 29, 102 Democratic candidates, and if you put them all together, if you put all of the attendees of their rallies together, there were more people using the porta potties at Trump's Orlando rally than they had combined. So if they win this election, it's for one reason and one reason only. They rigged the voting machines. And people who meddle in elections are engaging in sedition and treason. And when they're caught, tried and convicted, they should be put up against the wall and shot and made an example of. Or taken to Gitmo and fed bologna sandwiches for the rest of their life. But I'm not even up for that because I'm not going to sit there and feed a libtard for as long as he lives. The Bible says, you don't work, you don't eat. They want to give free medical care, free everything to people who are not even citizens of this country. And meanwhile, people who fought for this country, men and women who fought for this country, some of them who are disabled, are homeless, living on the street, sleeping on steam grates in the winter to keep warm. And it's a national disgrace. And it's a national disgrace that companies that were started by the government for the express purpose of spying on its citizens should be allowed to continue to do what they do. If you want to have a public square, let's have a public square. Let's work for the good of the country. And if you're a Democrat today, you have to be an old-style Democrat that doesn't realize what your party has turned into. You have to not be listening to anything on social media. Because if you're listening to that TV and even the radio and even the newspapers, there is nothing positive about Donald Trump, even though he has accomplished in 2.5 years more than all the presidents before him in my lifetime combined. They want him out because he's an outsider. He knows what they're all about. He knows about their pedivores and their satanic rituals. He knows that the crown really controls our government, the British crown. He knows the involvement of the Vatican. He knows all this. You think he doesn't know? But he's one man. And he has a team of people and a bunch of people with the long knives waiting to stab him in the back from his own party. We are the last bastion of hope in this country. People who are awake and know what's happening and kind of can put their mind around the evil, the despicable shit that these people do out of their own mouth. Out of their own mouth. You saw Nancy Pelosi say what she said. You saw Maxine Waters say what she says, out of their own mouth. I don't need to say anything. I don't need to say a word. Somebody that can say, well, it's the wrap-up smear. It's the wrap-up smear. We'll give it to the press, and then we validate it with the press. Well, we told them a bullshit story, and they published the bullshit story, and then we used the bullshit story to validate the bullshit story. These people are not working for us. We're paying them to run around and cover up their own crimes that they've committed since John F. Kennedy was assassinated, and probably even before then. And the mainstream media and now social media is behind it. And who's behind all of it? The Rothschilds, the Soroses, and the Queen of England. Because the British, MI5, MI6, was used to spy on an American president. They committed an act of war against the American people. And we should be sending cruise missiles up their fucking ass. And one last thing before I go. When they violate my right to speak, they also simultaneously violate your right to listen. You have just as much a cause of action against these people for violating your First Amendment rights as I do. And if we inundate them with lawsuits, they will have no other choice but to undo what they've done, make restitution to the people they harmed, and turn over this public square to the people who built it in the first place. People whose work, whose research, and whose time, effort, and investment in equipment to do what we do here should not be erased on a whim because of some asshole's political bent. Make no mistake, social media and big tech are the government. They are a branch of the government. They are government-entangled entities that are, by definition, liable for what they do. This is going to be tested in the courts eventually. I am one of the litigants, and I have an airtight case along with several people who I am connected with, thanks to the original Adpocalypse. Because if it wasn't for the Adpocalypse, I would not have 750 phone numbers of my subscribers who called me and asked me, hey, where the hell are you? I haven't seen videos from you in a while. Yeah, they took my channel down. Here's the new one. Send you a text message with the link. So now, instead of an audience, I have friends. I have people who I consider family met on this thing right here, on this platform, if you want to call it that. So, their tube, I call it their tube because it's not your tube or YouTube or my tube, it's their tube. We just use the platform as much as we can. And I've been sitting around from 2,900 to 3,000 subscribers for the last 2 months. I used to get, at the minimum, at the absolute minimum, 50 to 150 new subscribers a day. And I know I have more than 3,100 subscribers. I probably have 10 times that many. Because some people try to post in the comments, and I get an email from them saying that the platform will not accept their comment. Why is that? I have those emails. It's going in the evidence pile. It's going in I'm going to have to, when you have Exhibit A, Exhibit B, I passed Z a long time ago. I'm just a patriot who wants to save his country for the next generation. I don't have a big family. I don't have any connections to any political parties. I never worked in a political party to, promote one candidate over the other. In fact, when Donald Trump ran, he announced he's ran, I said, oh my God. We got the host of The Apprentice running for president. Boy, did he fool me. I love that man. If he was here, I'd give him a big hug and I'd probably break down in tears because of what this man has put himself through on behalf of us. And hopefully, with our help, he'll be able to straighten all of this out. And the one thing that I want him to straighten out is this satanic ritual abuse and all of this human trafficking. That if it wasn't for the market, if it wasn't for the sick sons of bitches that are the customers, there wouldn't be a market. If there wasn't people buying drugs on the street, there wouldn't be a market. And you might say, well, one thing is different than the other. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because it's an addiction. It's a mental addiction first. And then it becomes a physical addiction second. These people are sick. Some of them got trapped into it. But, if you tell somebody who's standing on the edge of a 40-story building that if he jumps, you're going to die. If you jump, you're going to die. If you're stupid enough to not believe the person who tells you that and you jump, then whose fault is it? It's yours. It's your fault. The same thing with people who take their car and go out to a bar and get shit-faced drunk and then get behind the wheel and kill somebody. And they get out of jail. How does that happen? That's the pure 1A definition of a sociopath. Because you know what you're doing when you're sober. You started out sober. You got in your car, you went to a bar, you got shit-faced drunk, and then you think that you can make it home safe. with a blood alcohol content of 3.0. You're a sociopath, and you should be locked up for the rest of your natural life because your mental facilities is not straight, and it'll never be straight. Someone who's a sociopath cannot be cured. There's something physically wired wrong up here. And it's the same way with these libtards who have been raised in mommy's basement and got everything free, and they think that the world owes them a living. Well, I got a tall flash for you. You don't work, you don't eat. Nothing is free in this country. Somebody's paying for it one way or another. Whether it's the banks printing up money and diluting the value of all the other currency that everybody else has, effectively sticking their hand in your pocket and pulling out the cash, which is what inflation is. Inflation is theft. It's the devaluation of money by printing more of it than it's worth. Look at your change. Look at your nickels, dimes, quarters, pennies. What is it made out of? It's not made out of any metal that's worth anything. It's not. It's tinker toy money. It's monopoly money. It's made out of neon steel brass pewter solder. Might as well be. Stop. And this is what we're heading into if we don't put an end to the Socialist Democrat Party, the Nazi Fourth Reich, subnom. This is Dave from Net4Truth USA, Whirlwind, Revolt. Thank you for watching, and if you can, please support us because we need the help. We're not monetized and don't plan to be. Take care. Please subscribe to our backup channels, Whirlwind Revolt, Inglorious Patriots, and Net4Truth USA 2 Patriot channel. You can also find us at Net4Truth USA on BitChute. We fly so close to the target, we're on our 4th fighter jet. We will be relentless truth seekers until the enemies of freedom are defeated. You can support this channel by using the links in the description. But for a $100 donation, I will personally send you a autographed hardcover special edition copy of Land of Childhood's Fears. Also, visit my bookstore at lulu.com/Net4Truth USA. If you are viewing this video on BitChute, you can use the links in the description to support us, or simply click the green $ dot on our video to support this channel. Thank you. Links are in the description section.